So, and going back to what Kelly said about, yes, I'm here. Tell me what to do, and that is the, I just put that question out there about the practices. For me, in my path, I couldn't get to this. Well, okay, just feel good about myself. I was so far that was such a strange feeling for me. I couldn't just go there. And I think in some way, and what we're all doing here is actually modeling this. We're sending this out. We're being it is enough. So in some way, that sends a thing out when I say, wow, Oliver, he's doing that. I can somehow take a step towards that to be our practice. And in this sort of world that we have created, something that I was thinking about, well, why couldn't I do that? What was going on? And I was drawn to something that Kelly has always shared with me. It's like we've been given this adversarial relationship to our bodies. So our body is this enemy that people can't talk about all the natural things that happen to the body. So we don't talk about going to the bathroom. We don't talk about sex. We don't talk about the things that come out of our bodies or go into our bodies. Those are all kind of taboo subjects in society. So we're given this thing that my body, I don't want to feel this thing, and I'm going to do everything I can to not feel this thing. And so for some of the people that are going to watch this thing that can identify with that feeling just so disconnected and out there, what can they do? Because I think it's important that we share that, because what we do is more important than anything that we're going to say. Because I think somebody had said, the days of saying one thing and doing something else, I'm going to download some great practice to you that I have no connection to myself. People are spotting that. And I think it's also easy to talk about, when the sun is shining and you're sitting under a palm tree and the ocean is there, God is great and life is good. What do we do when the chips are down? Mm-hmm. And I think going to Amalia's thing, we all have moments when the chips are down. We all have moments that we forget that we're connected. We wouldn't be human. So what do we do then? And maybe that will help some of the folks that might see this thing to even begin to have some hope. So here it is, a bunch of folks that live and breathe their practices. Well, what happens to you when you think there's no hope?
When I think of love thy neighbor as thyself, I'm always quick to help others, very quick to help someone who needs it. But when I'm in the dumps, I remember, okay, what does it mean to love myself? I mean, if I'm supposed to love my neighbor as myself, how do I love myself? So that the question comes for that. Now, when a neighbor's upset, I spend time with them. So what would that mean for me? I'd spend time with myself. Maybe I would suggest they get a massage. Maybe it's time for me to love my body when I put on lotion or give myself an oil massage. Maybe I need to go out to eat a meal with them and be really present for them. So maybe that means for me I need to go out with or have a meal and be really present with that meal and spend some time in nature. So all of these things that I would suggest to be kind to the other person, maybe I need to be kind to myself. I just have to start looking at what would I be so easily willing to do for someone else. Maybe I should do it for myself. That's one thing. The other thing is the slowing down is so vital that there's this meditation practice can be done in silent, still meditations, but meditation can be done as we're in activity. And I love the walking meditation. Of course, you can do it in nature, but you can also do it along the streets of New York City. But every single step, to be completely present with the movement and the shifting of the balance of the body, the movement of the legs, the breath, maybe paying attention to what you see and smell and what you hear and how the body feels, and just becoming completely aware. And each step, this is another thing, is to say, I've arrived. I've arrived. So that it's not, well, when I get there, it's no, I'm already here. Here I am. Here I am. I am. I is the place, and am is the time. It's not I will be. It's not I was. I is the place, and am is the time. And so just being really clear, I am arriving, I have arrived. This is it. So just to keep on bringing the attention back to the moment.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's really helpful, my daughter, when I was doing it at the beginning of this year, she had a watch, a little timer, and every hour she had her little watch go off, and she would think of something she wanted to be grateful for. And she found that this just totally shifted her life, because she has 3 small kids, you know, a dog and a house and a garden and all this stuff, and she's just chaos, all reigns. And yet every hour when she would have the watch go off, she was like, oh, I'm grateful for this. So having that kind of a gratitude practice, it's so simple. But we have so much in this country. We are blessed with so many things. I mean, years ago, back in the 70s, I did the Back to the Land thing. And I mean, I lived in a little cabin on top of a mountain, an hour from anyone, with no electricity and no running water. And when you have to haul your bucket of water, and then you have to heat it on the stove to you know, wash your hands, or you know, and you have to build a fire in the stove to cook a meal. I mean, these things would take so much for granted, but I mean, just the simplest thing, to be able to flip on a light and see, especially as you're getting older, you know, and you need that bright light to see. I mean, there's so many things to be grateful for, just the simple things. You know, grateful for this body, grateful for this breath, you know, when we stop breathing, you know, we're not going to have the same kind of wonderful experience of being alive. So I think a gratitude practice. And it was really interesting, because her watch, she was a new watch, she somehow messed up the timer. And so for a few days, she didn't have it going off. And she noticed how, all of a sudden her mood shifted. She was more irritable. She was more unhappy. She set it back, and doing that gratitude every hour totally shifted her life. That's a wonderful little practice. And I like micro practices, because I think we live in this world, we have so much to do, that when we want to make this to-do list. I'm going to do that, meditate for an hour every day, exercise at the gym, blah, blah, blah. And pretty soon we have this list, and we need 24 or 48 hours in a day to do everything. So micro practices, you know, every hour for 1 minute, just notice the breath. Slow down and notice your breath. Not even for 1 minute. How about for 5 seconds an hour? You know, I mean, really, to just become present and aware, you know, for just a few seconds every hour will decrease stress, will help you be present. I mean, offer gratitude. Appreciate what's happening in the moment. As you say, arrive in the moment, because most of us aren't there. We're so busy in being in the past and future. So those are a couple things.
I think one thing I was thinking in answering that question about being down in the dumps when the sun isn't shining and we're hurting is kind of the way you were talking, Dean, about rejecting the body. I think we've become a culture of rejecting our feelings. And I think, to me, it's paradoxical that when you're really hurting, the thing that I do, and we witness it, Jean and I together, we have a way of witnessing our feelings together. It's very powerful. But with clients too, you know, my urge is, let's go into it. You know, let's go deep into what's in this misery. You know, and there's always going to be rage, and there's going to be grief, there's going to be fear, there's going to be sadness, and it usually would take you back to where you felt it before, and it will connect you to a root of a deep, deep hurt. And what I have found with my own life, when I'm willing to go all the way with my misery rather than just stay stuck in, oh, I'm just depressed. Well, that's sort of a word that encompasses a whole universe of feelings and experiences. And if you're willing to go fully into it and come out the other side, we trust the emotional body. We trust that it will always take you back to love if you're willing to go all the way with it. And, you know, it's not a panacea. Sometimes you're in it. You know, you're in the grief or the sadness. But it is a powerful way to not reject your experience, not reject. Just like you're not rejecting the body, it's about not rejecting the emotional body. So.